We will be joined by the Lieutenant Governor, Susan Bysiewicz, momentarily, a little bit later in this broadcast. But we are joined right now by State Senator Dennis Bradley. He is a co-chair of the Public Safety Committee and a member of the Judiciary Committee and a guest on Face the State in the past. Senator Bradley, thanks so much for being with us here tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on your show.
Senator, I want to ask you the same question I asked the pastor earlier. Growing up as a man of color, did you ever experience any problems with police or brutality?
Well, I can tell you, not only am I a man of color, but I'm a son of a veteran here in the United States Army. I'm a former cadet. I'm obviously a practicing attorney outside of being a state senator, and holding those things and doing things what we call, quote unquote, the right way in America. I've experienced discrimination by police departments in the way that I've been pulled over, in the way I've been addressed by a person who speaks the Queen's English and addresses authorities as no sir or no ma'am. I know oftentimes of the perceived discrimination that one can face when facing certain law enforcement.
As a chair of the Public Safety Committee, there has been some talk of some police reform. What kind of things do you have in mind?
So we've submitted legislation both during my first cycle as a junior senator, and unfortunately because of COVID, we weren't able to see it through during my second cycle as well, where we specifically asked and demanded that we have a special prosecutorial department in charge with internal complaints. I believe that the vast majority of our state police and our police officers are honorable men and women who go the extra mile to protect our lives and to ensure safety for the public. But there are a few rotten apples in those departments, in any department. I wanted to make a safeguard for whistleblowers who are inside to identify police officers who might have issues with post-traumatic stress disorder, who might job performance, that they could internally make a complaint in anonymous and not have to fear that investigation happening internally. As you know, oftentimes in police departments, they're all relatively small in the state of Connecticut. When you make a complaint, it's lodged within your internal police department, and that oftentimes breeds a degree of discomfort doing those type of things. So to encourage people who are in the front lines, who can identify police officers who are conducting themselves in ways that are less than honorable, to be able to make that complaint and have those handled externally and investigated externally, I think would go a long way to preventing incidents like we saw here most recently.
Senator, in your judgment, what kind of racial injustice do you believe exists in Connecticut today?
There's a great divide. And listen, we've made great strides and progress in the United States of America. We can't be blind to that. We've had our first African-American president, and we've seen countless progress in terms of representation in our legislature. But we have a long, long way to go. And I think that it's incumbent upon us in leadership to make those hard decisions and to pass legislation that will enable the next generation to feel it even less. But it's an active participation, not only in leadership, not only in those who are in the legislature, but in every citizen of this great republic, to be mindful of our natural prejudices as human beings and to try to make sure that that racism does not continue to be a systemic problem.
We've all seen the video of George Floyd dying on the street in Minneapolis. When you saw that video, because it is just so deeply disturbing, what went through your mind?
It was horror. I recently been in Bridgeport. We've had incidents like that not too long ago in our not too distant past. When I saw that particular video, I couldn't believe what I was watching. It shocked my very conscience, the very core of who we are as human beings. I was disgusted and outraged. But what I saw in that video, my heart goes out to the family. My heart goes out to the community in Minneapolis. But unfortunately, there's been far too many incidents similar to that we have to address, both here in our state and as a nation as a whole.
Senator, what are your constituents telling you they believe needs to be done in our state to improve race relations?
A lot of it has to do with what we've been talking about. It's the systemic issues. It's the systemic issues that we face here in our state. It's the reality that we oftentimes see both in the hiring of police officers, both in the hiring of our and not just in terms of in the classical sense, but integration in terms of having a genuine seat at the table of American progress. And that's, I think, it's the outcry for everybody, is for a degree of justice, for a degree of diversity, for having all of our citizens to be at the table, at the forefront of pushing America forward. I think that's been the cry from a lot of people, and I think that first and foremost, we want to see is in this real sad incident that we have a tremendous opportunity to have justice served. So I think we want to see justice take place here, and as well as diversity and integration and pushing America forward.
Senator Dennis Bradley, always a pleasure to have you on the program. You are joining us remotely tonight, and I want to be completely honest with our viewers. We're having a couple of little technical issues, so we may have you back in the program a little bit later on if we can't connect with the Lieutenant Governor, Susan Bysiewicz. But I want to thank you so much for being with us here, sir, and hope to see you in person soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.